This that new media company covering everything. I'm talking that news you ain't heard of, cause you know it's getting buried. Social justice, yeah, the stuff you need to know about. Fucking politics that the corporate news won't cover. You know they don't think that you could see under, but you can now, cause the people we cover, they may not be famous, but their stories should be heard. Yeah, every voice matters.
Good morning, everybody. How is everybody this morning? Hopefully, good. Yeah, it's Friday morning, so thank you everyone for joining us. We got a little bit of a late start, but whatever. It's Friday. It's Friday. And you're probably not awake anyway. You're watching this on a replay, so I'm not going to worry about it. Good morning, Andy. How are you?
Morning, my dear. I am fine. I'm actually doing quite well. I'm feeling good. I'm settling into my routine now. It's been 4 days of our situation, and everybody's kind of being okay. It's not really emotional anymore. It's just kind of getting by to get by, and we're doing
remind everybody what your situation is, just so they
sure.
they know.
Well, my wife is currently isolating in our trailer in the driveway because she's a healthcare professional, and so we schedule social distancing meetings on our back deck so we can see one another a few times during the day, and keep it. It's a 20-foot deck, so we can keep 10 feet apart, and just we ate dinner together yesterday. It was actually nice. It wasn't like sitting at the kitchen table, but you take what you can get at this point. So everything's going okay. We've been bound by a little bit of good information in the city of Peterborough where she works. So we've had no added cases in the last few days in the entire city. We've been holding at 28 cases for the last 3 days. And so at least our region has been doing a good job of social distancing and behaving themselves. There's still idiots out there, but there's going to be in every community. And those are, the ones that perhaps the Darwinian things will take care of themselves. But other than that, everybody else seems to be doing good. Of course, there's a lot more phoning now. My uncle that lives in Ottawa that I haven't heard from in years called me yesterday to see how I was doing. So I think that the virus has made people a little more social and a little more worried about how everybody's doing. So on the other side of this, there's probably going to be a lot more communication around.
Right. People are actually using their phone to make calls now rather than just texting and memes and things like that. So
yes, instead of just duck lip selfies.
COVID selfie, yay! Nice. Well, I'm glad you guys are hanging in there, and hopefully it won't be too long. But yeah, it's important that we take the necessary precautions, which is kind of why you had insisted on showing everybody a good tutorial on masks and gloves, which I think is timely because most people, unless you've been through pre-med training or CNA training, you have never been instructed on how proper use of these basic things should work.
Well, and that's a lot of the problem is that people don't know when to wear them, or what is effective for whatever situation. I think that the masks make people feel better about being out and doing what they have to do. But other than that psychological benefit, there's really not any benefit to wearing a mask at all. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. The more important protective equipment that you can have are gloves and a bottle of hand sanitizer. Quite honestly, that's Those are the things that are going to protect you. And there's some things that situations that if you get into them, you're not going to be able to protect yourself adequately at all, just, regardless of what you're wearing, right? And people have to be aware of that. And I think that the CDC's concerns are that people think that they're safe, and if they have a N95 mask on and a set of gloves, then why should I social distance? I'll be fine. I'm fully protected. I can just go about my life normally and nothing's going to happen to me. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And hopefully the little tutorial that I'm going to give today will show people why, and show why the, staying at home, isolating at home is by far the best defense. And there's no substitute to that.
Okay, that sounds perfect. Go ahead, jump right in, get started.
Okay, so let's talk about the mask first. The N95 mask, I have mine here. It's this lovely, mine is in lovely blue. And it's N95, and the masks will say it right on the front and on the package that came in, the designation. Now, these are particulate masks. They will block large particles in the air from entering your lungs. And when I say large particles, I mean like sawdust or fiberglass. So this would be something that someone would wear on their face if they have to go up and do some kind of work in somebody's attic. Okay, that was the designation. That's why you'll see people that paint use these, right? They were never designed to block things like viruses because they're just not efficient enough. So when you're talking about why it's necessary to wear a mask, if you think that this is going to save you from getting the virus by stopping you from breathing it in, it's not. Actually, the virus is small enough that it will pass right through in the air and go into your lungs. So you're not safe from catching it wearing a mask. The reason people wear masks is because if you are someone that is suffering from the virus and is showing symptoms, it will stop you from sending vapor into the air and hopefully stop somebody else from being infected by it. So these are for patients or healthcare professionals. And the reason that the healthcare professionals wear them, you think about why a surgeon or an OR nurse or anesthesiologist wears it. It's to stop them from infecting the patient that they're working on with an opening in their where they're doing the surgery. Right? That's why they wear them. So these are not meant to save you. And in fact, my wife, Debbie, is being fitted, I think it was either yesterday or today, with a respirator, which are the big plastic full face.
Like the hazmat ones that we've seen. Okay.
Yeah, like you would see they wear in all the Contagion movies and those guys that go into homes and stuff with the canister, the removable canister that sits inside. Those are the only real defense against the virus. And why they're giving them to people in the OR is because it's very dangerous for them. And as I was talking in our last couple of shows ago, that the intubation and extubation of the patients is the dangerous part. And because their sputum it comes out in quite large quantities. That's when I say intubation, extubation, that's the insertion in the removal of the breathing tube before they get put to sleep and the surgery begins. So you have to assume that any patient that comes into the OR right now has the virus, because there's no real way to know unless you test them, and the testing criteria is still too high for most people to be tested. So these people actually have these respirators because they're a specialized field in the medical profession that not just anybody in like any nurse or any doctor can do. So they're very important because let's not forget, although we're in a pandemic, there are still going to be teams that need to deal with heart attacks and emergency appendectomies and that kind of surgeries. That stuff doesn't stop. So they have to protect their OR doctors and nurses because they're a very specialized field. And that's why they have the respirators. But this little guy is not meant to protect you. It is meant to stop people from putting vapor in the air if you're sick. Now, if for whatever reason you might have to wear one of these, the proper way to deal with them, the proper way to put them on and take them off is, now this one has the two straps that go from side to side. As far as I'm concerned, you get a better seal with these. But anyways, you put them on.
No, that's the one that's got the metal. Yeah, it's got the metal for
Right,
side.
right.
Okay.
You sit them over your mouth like that. I'll speak up a little bit just because I'll be muffled here. But you get this in a comfortable place, and you move your mouth up and down because you're going to be speaking, obviously, with this thing on, and you don't want to lose a seal. So you get it in a good space. Then you pinch your nose. Make it nice and tight there on your nose. And then when you put your hands in front of your mouth like that, you won't feel the air going in one specific place. It's kind of a general moving through the filter back and forth. And then you know that your seal is good against the side of your face and your chin and on your nose, right? That's very important. You could also actually kind of even hear a rush if there's one spot that's not sealed properly, and you can also feel it too. So I've got a good feel. Other thing is, if you have any facial hair, like if you have a guy that has like a Van Dyke beard or any type of stubble, you're not going to steal it. It's useless to wear these if you have facial hair because the hair will not allow it to seal properly to your face, okay? So now I've got this on. If you're required to wear this or you want to wear it, the problem with having these things on is that you have to stop from wanting to check it because you have something foreign on your face. So a natural thing is to do this. Oh, yeah, make sure that's nice. Oh, that's good. Well, you're touching your face over and over.
Right.
The one thing they want you to stop doing is touching your face.
So once you've got it on, ignore it, leave it. And what's interesting is we're seeing now pictures of doctors and nurses that have bruising and kind of like a rash if they've got sensitive skin because they did get that good seal.
But the problem is, if you seal these properly, they don't have to be super tight to your face. They just have to sit nice, okay? So the overcompensation for people that don't normally wear these is to push really hard here. So you're pinching your nose. So you're actually doing damage to yourself by doing this all the time, right? And that's because these masks are not necessarily heavy or hard on you, but people are so paranoid about getting the virus that they're constantly making sure, oh yeah, okay, this is good. Well, so that's why it's problematic for people, just normal people in society, to wear these. That's why the only real defense is to stay home and stay away from people, right? Now, when you remove this, okay, this is now the area that you want to avoid. So your hands don't ever touch this part once you've used it, right? That's supposedly your line of defense, okay? Don't touch that part. This is how you remove it. Like this, and like that. Now, you've got this. Goes in the garbage. You don't put it back on again. It goes in the garbage.
So this is part of the reason why we're having an issue with supply, because these things are not meant to be used repeatedly. It's a one-time use, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Whether that one story about the nurse that had her one N95 mask, and that was all she had. they gave her a paper bag. So at the end of her shift, she took her mask on, put it in the bag, took it home. The next day, she brought her mask back, put it back on her face over and over again. Well, this thing is not protecting you anymore, right? You wear it once and you get rid of it. That's the way it's supposed to work. So that's why, really people in the general public really shouldn't even be wearing masks unless you are trying to protect other people because you're exhibiting symptoms, right? So now let's talk about gloves. Now these are a good thing to have, right? You have these latex gloves. Now if you have a latex allergy, which is fairly common, they do make non-latex gloves, but that's something that you have to go out and buy and ask for. My wife is allergic to latex, and she has to wear non-latex gloves, right? Which is what these are. Now, when I show you this, I struggle a little bit because they're her size. They're not sausage base fingers guy size. So, anyways, it takes me a little bit to squeeze into them, but I will show you. I think I can get them on, and I can demonstrate the proper way to get these off, right? It doesn't matter how you put them on, because just get your damn hands in, especially if you're not used to it, right? But at least if you get them on and you get them past your wrist, okay, it's just like this. Okay, so those are on good enough for the demonstration, right? Now you're walking around with this. Your contaminated zone on these is all of the outside, right? The reason you're wearing these is so that your skin on your hands doesn't come in contact with the virus when you are opening doors or you are at the grocery store and you're taking things off the shelf. So these are always a good idea to have, right? So now, when I want to remove these, keeping in mind that this is the danger zone, the outside, right? There's a specific way to do this. And the best way to do it, okay, is to take one hand and grab the palm like this on the outside of this glove. Right? Now these are tight, so it's struggling a little bit to get these off, but I'll get it off here. Hang on. Okay, so I've got that off now. I've not touched this hand with this hand. I have this glove in this hand. So this is still clean, and now this one hand is the danger zone, right? Potentially has the virus on it. What you do now is you take that finger and go inside, right? And you use the inside of this, and you pull over the glove inside out, and you pull the other glove on the inside of it. Now what you've got, this was the inside of the glove, right? So it's not, this is still the safe zone. The unsafe zone is on this side, right? And they just go in the garbage like that. Get rid of them.
You know what? It just occurred to me that ladies and gentlemen who color their own hair would know that technique simply because you have the visual of the process on your fingers, whatever color you're using, green, pink, blue, whatever, with those gloves, you're going to see it. So I don't know anybody who takes off one glove and then puts their skin hand, ungloved hand on the other one. You always push it up under. So that's interesting that inadvertently somebody who's doing something with paint or hair color or whatever might already be doing this technique and not realizing the significance of it.
Right, because they don't want to get the product on their hands.
Yes.
Right. Well, think of the virus in the same way. Right? There's no point in wearing gloves if you're not going to take them off correctly. Right? You're protecting your own skin from the virus by wearing gloves. If you take your gloves off, you've just contaminated yourself. There's no point in wearing them, right? You're better to just go out and do what you need to do. Keep your hands away from your face. And when you're done doing it, grab a bottle of the Purell or whatever you've got and rub your hands. Same thing, right? I think that this protective equipment makes people feel better about having to go out or do whatever. And it does have some uses, but let's make sure that we're wearing them for the right reasons and understand when you're protected and when you're not. Because I think that the CDC is worried that if people have this stuff on them, they'll think they're invincible. And then they might venture out more often or whatever, when the best thing that we need to do is isolate in our own homes. Stay in our homes, right?
I'm choking on coffee because this has been an argument in my house, and you and I exchanged text messages last night. It's like every day the CDC is coming up with a different guideline. Before it was, you don't need masks, and then now you do need masks. And today it's again, no, you should not be wearing a mask unless you are sick. And it's just, it's so confusing. But I think you're right. It goes back to a lack of common sense or understanding about what the goal is in that particular situation.
Right.
Right. So you and I talked about
a good way to demonstrate this is if you have to go out and buy now, this is obviously not going to be the same for people in southern climes where it's warm all the time, but where we live, you need to go out and periodically change your furnace filter, right? Well, you can go down to the Home Depot and get like a 3M furnace filter, and they have different categories, right? And the cheapest one that does the least amount of filtering will filter out, dust and particulates to a certain percentage and so on and so on. So the more money you spend on your filter, the better it is. And the most expensive one tells you that it will get rid of 97% of viruses, right? So that filter is so small that it can actually catch viruses for the most part. Right? Well, you've just paid a crap load of money for a filter to get that ability. You're not going to spend $1 and get one of these and expect that it's going to do the same thing.
Excellent point. Excellent point. So here's been my struggle. And you and I have talked about this before. I love the outpouring of empathy and people wanting to do something. So they're making their own masks. They're taking old pieces of material or whatever, and they're making masks, which I think is a wonderful way for people to feel engaged and involved. Right. However, when we talk to efficacy, probably not really going to protect you the way that we would expect, right? So it's not a surgical level mask, and in fact, the CDC and medical guidelines have different ways to wear the mask. So if you are infected and you're sick, you turn that mask inside out and wear it that way, is what they're saying, as opposed to someone who is trying to protect themselves. Maybe I've got that reversed, but it's like every other day there's a new guideline, and now I've made my own mask, and I'm going to the grocery store. Maybe it makes me feel better, but I don't know that it's really effective. Like, your wife couldn't really wear one of the masks that I've made from leftover fabric, right? I mean,
I think that the masks that people are making is for psychological health or mental health as opposed to physical health, right? I think that they make people feel better about being armed with something, being out in society right now. Quite honestly, I don't think they do anybody healthy person any good. Now, that being said, I would suggest that if you are going out, it may not necessarily be a bad idea to wear a mask, but because you're protecting other people, right? Because of the long incubation period of COVID-19. Because you may not be exhibiting any symptoms, but you may have the virus. You just hasn't gone through the incubation process yet. So what you're doing by wearing a mask is protecting other people. It's not protecting you, but you're not spreading it to anyone else because your breath is being contained by the mask.
Okay, that makes sense. And in my household, last night we were watching test scenario videos coming out of Japan. They're using laser beam splitters to highlight the water vapor droplets. And what was amazing to me is they were talking about how these microparticles, like when you sneeze or you cough, how
Right.
they can stay in the air. And in this one test case, I'll try and find that video and I'll post it here. In this one test case, they had a gentleman sneeze, and you could watch the vapors. So the larger particles obviously fell, but then these microparticles stayed in the air and just kind of rolled around. And then they did the same scenario with a small classroom size and did 10 people, like 10 figures, and had one of them cough. And as the video goes through, you can see these microparticles 5 minutes, 10 minutes, finally at 20 minutes. Then this cloud, which has now gone through the entire room, starts to dissipate a little bit.
And what it will do is eventually it will fall to the floor, right? Because it does have a very small mass, so eventually gravity will pull them to the floor, right? Yeah, that's the thing, right? When you think about what is involved when you sneeze or when you cough, your muscles are very strong in your stomach and your diaphragm and your lungs, so you're expelling something. So the idea of coughing, the air is expelling from your mouth in a cough or a sneeze at a very high rate of speed, right? And so it goes like they were showing that in the operating room when they were extubating these patients, the typically the response from the patient is to cough, right? Because it's a foreign object being removed from their throat. And the air being completely filled. That's why they evacuate all of the personnel in the operating theater during this procedure, during the extubation, and have just the anesthesiologist and the circulating nurse to support him in the room in their full hazmat PPE, right? Because that room is now contaminated completely with the water vapor from the sputum of the patient. And so they have to wait. After that happens, they all take the patient out and then they evacuate the room completely, wait 30 minutes, and then a cleaning crew comes in and completely top to bottom cleans the room.
That completely makes sense. So now when we see the videos of like train stations and things, and they're spraying the pavement, now we understand why. Because at some point the germs and this virus is going to fall to the ground. So we're going to treat it there, because we know now from Dr. Burdett and the presentations we've done before, it can be up to 72 hours for this virus to live on concrete pavement. And let's say you drop your phone and you go and pick it up. Now you may have contamination on your phones. But then the other interesting thing was, they were finding cases of the virus in the ventilation system in hospitals, which now makes sense when you understand how these tiny micro droplets travel in the air. And I think it also speaks to why they're sending people home unless you are in dire need. Because, you know, if you go in there and you've got, you're not in an emergency situation, it's better for you to not be in the hospital and risk contamination from someone who is just coughing in the next room or whatever else. I mean,
well, exactly. And let's understand why that is. And people would say, well, why wouldn't I be admitted to the hospital? Because they have to make me feel better. They have to make me better. They have to do whatever they need to do to bring me through this. And unfortunately, the problem with this is the hospitals can't do anything for you except make you comfortable. The only defense you have against this is your own immune system. Whether you're at home or the hospital, it doesn't matter. If you're armed with the proper ways to help your immune system fight this, like knowing what bolsters your immune system, and knowing what helps your body be strengthened during this, then that's your best defense against the virus. And it's really your only one. And there's nothing they can do in the hospital for you, except if your breathing becomes so impaired that you can't breathe on your own, then they hook you up to a ventilator. And for the most part, at that point, there's very few people that ever come back from that, right? The putting you on the ventilator basically just keeps you alive long enough until your body starts to shut down and you die, right? So what is a hospital really going to do for you? You need, if you think about it, if you're in a place at home, you're comfortable, right? Because it's your sanctuary. You have all of the stuff that you need. If you take a multivitamin that includes zinc and vitamin C, those are your first line of defense. There's lots of other things that we've talked about, like turmeric or turmeric or whatever it's called, and raw honey. These are all things that will help bolster your immune system. As well, we also talked about sipping warm water, because that keeps your mouth warm, your mouth moist, and gargling with a solution of warm water and something in the nature of, I believe it's salt or vinegar or
lemon juice
or lemon, something that's acidic, right? That you gargle with, and that will help your throat expel the disease before it actually takes root in your lungs. So there's these things at home. People are afraid when they get to this point, and their first thought is, I have to go to the hospital. I need to get to the hospital. Well, unfortunately, there's really not much they can do there.
I think a lot of what we're going through right now, and we've talked about this before, when the constructs of what we believe, like the show that we had on Wednesday with Ron, we have expectations of what the criminal justice system really is. And in this case, healthcare systems and responses to pandemics. We have these expectations. And we're seeing right now that maybe our expectations or our understanding of how things actually work is not necessarily accurate, right? So, and I think part of this is we go through with some sense of control in the world around us, because we are finite, small little beings who are very fragile. And so when we go through life, we have the expectation that, well, if something happens, someone else, a professional, will take care of me and make it right, and whatever that scenario is. And in this case, I think we're finding out that what you do at home and how you behave in the interim may be your best bet. Not always, but maybe. And then I think the overarching thing is community, the sense of community, because by staying home and self-isolating, we're starting to understand that we are all connected, and the decisions that I make, even though it doesn't appear that I'm affecting someone else, absolutely can down the line, right? So, Andy, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
We have a society that unfortunately has been taught to be selfish in some instances, right? I mean, we hear a lot of young people that, well, I'm not going to get sick because I'm young and I'm good, and it doesn't matter what I do. Even if I get it, it's not going to kill me because I'm young and I have a strong immune system, right? But the problem is, if you do have a viral load that is capable of infecting somebody else, you're the next link in the chain of infection. Right?
Right.
And then that means that somebody down the road that maybe is immunocompromised or a senior or for whatever reason, so then the virus will continue through you, although you were fine, right? And that's really an unfortunate way of thinking of it. And you have to understand that there are reasons why our governments are telling us that we have to, why the CDC and are saying that these are important steps because maybe they might know more than you, that it's not maybe that you're maybe not armed with the proper information to think that it's okay for you to just go in and go to work and interact with people and you'll be fine.
That's
right?
correct, right?
That at some point we have to be able to say, okay, all right, enough with the conspiracy theories, enough with this. If we want to save as many people as possible, maybe you should do what you're told. Go to your house and stay there. And the other thing is, most of us live in areas where we're surrounded by other houses, other people. So you're in a neighborhood. Neighborhoods have a really good way of taking care of one another, of people supporting one another. If you run out of food, I'm sure your neighbors will be happy to give you some if you need some, right? There are ways to deal with this. So we have to support one another. It's the government and the medical industry in general can only do so much for us. There's the little details, the little things that are part of our lives on the micro level that we need to figure out among ourselves and support ourselves.
Right. Well, I'm going to transition this just a little bit when we talk about, medical professionals can only do so much and the sense of community. I want to relate that to Bernie Sanders was on The View recently, and one of the pushbacks that they did in their bumpers and in their questioning was they talked about Sanders' politicization of Medicare for all, of using that policy now in what they suggested was an inappropriate way. And I want to so strongly push back on that idea, because what they're doing is saying that our access to healthcare here in the United States, there are 35 other countries who have already addressed this and handled it and done so for decades. We are still struggling here with the sense of community and being able to give our healthcare professionals full license to make decisions about our care and what's best for their own patients. Instead, we have a for-profit, well, they're death panels. This is exactly what they do. They do their mortality and morbidity tables to decide if the level of care that you require is worth it to them financially, basically putting a price tag on your life. And these ladies on The View, and I'm going to be very critical because each and every one of them is a millionaire who will never have the same problems that somebody like me in the United States will have. They will never not have access to care the way that 98% of Americans do today. Like right now, if you can get a test for COVID, you don't pay for it, but the care that you might require is all on you, whether that's at home or in the hospital. And if you have to go into the hospital, you're looking at anywhere from $1,300 to $7,000 or $8,000, and it doesn't matter if you survive or not. So when you see all of these people who have gone into the hospital, those who have recovered and those who have unfortunately succumbed to this virus, I want you to understand that each and every one of those people is going to have a medical bill waiting for them. Some it will be for their widower to pay, and some it'll be for them if they should have survived going into ICU and getting the treatment that they need. So I really strongly want to push back on this idea that it's politicization. No, this is downright survival. And I think what we're talking about when we look at the costs and everything else, like here in my state, they're talking about expanding Medicaid. There's so many counties that do not have one doctor or a hospital that accepts Medicaid, so you still have not helped those people. When in fact, Medicare is accepted. And if we went to a Medicare for everybody, now I could go to a facility here in my county or anywhere else and get the care that I need. So Andy, your thoughts on politicization, and of course they also brought up, which was jaw dropping. These ladies who purport to be on the left and liberal were bringing up right wing talking points, and they mentioned Canada yet again about wait times, and I'm like, haven't we already been through this?
That blows me away. And I did a broadcast with Matt Stewick a few nights ago, and had the same questions asked to me, and he said the same thing. And now you have to remember that he is a union shop steward living in New York City, so he's fairly close to Canada, right? Intelligent guy, he has a good job. He's a Medicare for all proponent, and said to me, all we hear about the Canadian system is wait times. Wait. Couldn't be further from the fucking truth. I don't know. These are just right-wing talking points so that you don't get Medicare for all. Let me describe an instance for you, okay? I have something that I want to talk to my doctor about. A doctor that I chose, right? That lives close to me in the city of Peterborough. Very nice doctor, very good doctor. I got to choose him, okay? So that's who I go see. So I called his receptionist, and I said, I would like to make an appointment to see the doctor. And Carla said to me, well, we don't have any appointments today, but if you call at 4:30 to the clinic that's attached to the office that they're in, right? They will make an appointment for you this evening. Okay, that's fine. 4:30, I called. I dialed 3 times and I got through, because I dialed right at 4:30 when people are calling to make appointments. I said, I would like to make an appointment to see the doctor. And they said, okay, is 5:15 okay? I said, yeah, I'm about 20 minutes away. I can make it. All right. Who's the doctor on call? So-and-so. Oh, I've seen Dr. So-and-so before. Okay, good. I drive in. I went to see the doctor.
So your wait time was 2 hours then? Between where do we start counting for you? When you had to call back or your drive time? Because for me, I wait 4 months, maybe 3 to 4 months, and that is just for my annual physical. If I want to make a dentist appointment, that is now 6 months out, and this is for-profit insurance. So
really, you mean that there's longer wait times in the U.S. than there is in Canada?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah,
so
exactly.
This is all, and the other thing that I wanted to mention, okay, through this entire procedure, I could take my wallet, open it up, remove my driver's license, because I need that because I'm driving to the doctor, take out my health card, which gives me free health care in Canada. And I leave my wallet at home, and I take those 2 cards to the doctor. And at no time did I ever need the rest of my wallet with any forms of payment, because there was no charges.
Oh,
well, that's not true. There was a couple of dollars charged for parking.
Oh, see, no, when you go into any doctor's office, dentist or specialist, whatever, right on the reception desk, it says payment is due at time of service. So we're real upfront about co-pays and co-insurance and all of those sort of things. And real quick, I want to make mention that last night I did a presentation on insurance and Medicare for all. And I think what is important about this is we have a whole lot of people talking about the details of the policy proposal with Medicare for all, but it is not prefaced with how insurance actually works. So I wanted to make sure that people understood here in the U.S., I don't care how good your insurance is. I don't care if you have union insurance or something else. It sounds great, but I need you to understand how it actually works. What you are purchasing is the equivalent of a Costco membership, a discount coupon book. It is not the same as access to care, and all it does is reduce your financial risk. Now, the problem comes in if now we have what we're approaching 10 million unemployed. That's 10 million people who don't have insurance or are facing a COBRA, balloon payment for insurance. Each and every one of these people thought that they had great insurance. Now today they are exposed. And if they go to the emergency room, that's thousands of dollars. If they have an issue with COVID, that is thousands of dollars out of pocket. And if you don't pay that bill, it goes to the state as a bad debt write-off. So I am going to pay for someone in my state who cannot pay their medical bill anyway. So when we talk about the high cost of Medicare for all, I am paying 10 times the rate right now through my property taxes, through my own insurance premium, and in all these ancillary costs that are behind the scenes. These are all a tax on me and my household because we have not made sure that everyone is covered and everyone is covered effectively and has access to care. Okay, so this is now on our website, progressivesinsider.com, and it's also on our Facebook page. It's on YouTube. Please check it out, as well as we put some information on Medicare for All, frequently asked questions about insurance and Medicare for All, so that you understand these things and that these objections that are coming forward are inaccurate, not valid, and meant to steer you away from asking the tough questions. So I just want to put that out there so that everyone understands insurance is not the same as healthcare. It is absolutely not the same. It's the middleman. It's a profit margin in between me and my doctor, right? So we'll definitely have more on that. So Andy, we're at the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and I'm at the 10 o'clock hour.
Oh.
But I ran out of coffee about 10 minutes ago.
Okay.
So this has got to come to an end.
Yeah, unfortunately. So we'll be definitely back on Monday morning. I have no idea what we're doing. We'll talk about it over the weekend and see if we can line up some good guests, or if we're just gonna do a.
That's the tagline of the show, isn't it? We have no idea what we're doing.
We have no idea. Which is, we always come up with something, so I think that's fine. It's fine. It's all fine.
Yeah,
So,
fine.
but for now, real quick, I want to put up, we actually have a programming schedule now. So I want to put that up so people can see that. Maybe. Aha, here it is. So these are things going on for the rest of the day today. And so you can see Andy and I were sort of on time, but we got it close. And then at noon today, we've got this really great interview with Bernie delegate Sebastian Fuentes. He has an amazing take on immigration justice. Wonderful interview. And then today at 6 o'clock, we've got Don Ford back with the critical report. So a little later today, you'll see the replay of his critical report from last night, where he was talking about the DNC convention moving to August and what that actually means and how that matters for delegates and how the rules change and all of these sorts of things. So it's not too wonky, but I think he explains it really well. As well as talking about rent strike and some other things coming up. Yeah, just a whole lot of good content coming up this week. And then next week, we're going to have some really exciting announcements. This I know for sure about some new programs and content.
Right. And I've actually heard that with the new rule changes for the convention in August, there's been a change in the delegate lead. So far, that Marianne Williamson is now in the lead, apparently, I think.
I don't think that's... No, there are not enough crystals in the world for that one.
But... maybe it was... I think it was Breitbart that I read that. I'm not sure. It was something like that. So
always a trustworthy source. So all right, with that, we'll go ahead and take off and get out of here. So thank you, everybody, and have a happy Friday. Oh, one last thing. Pillow Fort Friday. Pillow Fort Friday. If you're do your Pillow Fort. Make your Pillow Fort blankets, whatever you need. Send us a picture, and you will get one of our exclusive T-shirts. So exclusive. Andy and I don't even have them yet. I think Dawn is the only one who has one. So
why did we give him control of that?
I don't.
What were we thinking?
It was a dumb idea. But send your pictures in, and you could win an exclusive T-shirt. So, thank you, everybody. Have a very good day.
Have a good weekend.
This is Progressive Insider.
Yeah. Progressive Insider, you know they wiser. This that new media company covering everything. I'm talking that news you ain't heard of, cause you know it's getting buried. Social justice, yeah, the stuff you need to know about. Talking politics.